Welcome to the inaugural Flippin To Nitro Hotline. And unlike the old days with Mean Gene Oakland, there's no 900 number to call, so there's no charge per minute. Basically, what I'm going to start doing is every month I'm going to look back at some of the biggest happenings and events in the world of World Championship Wrestling. Looking back at some of the moments from the latest Nitro episodes, the pay-per-views, and actually make a few predictions along the way about what I think is going to happen going forward in the months ahead. And also at the end, starting next month, I'm going to have questions from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So if you'd like some questions for next month's edition, please put them in the comments below. However, I would ask that you don't go beyond where I am in my reaction series, because I don't want any spoilers. So any questions, try and have them in a way where they're not spoilers. But yeah, with that, we'll get into the very first episode of the Flippin To Nitro Hotline. So this first episode, I'm going to be looking back from the May 27th edition of Nitro, which was, of course, a big moment, which I'll get into in a second, up until the Great American Bash of 1996. That's as far as I've got so far in my journey through the Nitro era of WCW. So yeah, I think the first thing to talk about is, of course, that huge, shocking debut of Scott Hall on Nitro, interrupting a match, which actually wasn't a bad match. I was surprised. The Mauler, and forgive me, but I can't remember who the opponent was, but I remember actually enjoying the match. But of course, what Scott Hall had to say was of much more importance. And I think the way that Tony Schiavone and Larry Zbyszko sold it, in that they didn't really say much, you could tell there was shock. They were inquiring about the match. Why is the match stopped? I thought that was excellent, and the fact that he came from the crowd as well, I thought was a nice touch, because it really gave off the impression that this guy should not be here. And then the following week, we had a huge moment where he talked to Bischoff, then Sting comes out. There was a confrontation there. I'll get into that a little more in a second, but it built, and then of course we had Kevin Nash coming the following week, so we knew that he said that he'd have a big surprise. And the Great American Bash, I'll touch on in a second as well. Of course, Ric Flair and Arn Anderson had initially had been with Macho Man, but now Mongo and Green, a lot of stuff was going on there. He's been using the money of the Macho Man. Macho Man has not been allowed into a lot of these arenas. He did get the Great American Bash as manager, but before that on Nitro he wasn't appearing at all. He was outside. Me and Gina conducted a few interviews with him, but yeah, I think he has to get some anger management classes, so he hasn't wrestled in a while. So there were some of the big things that had happened. The Steiners have been going from strength to strength with their tag matches. Just really incredible stuff I've really enjoyed. But I think I'm going to go with first the most shocking moment. And okay, I'll preface this by saying Scott Hall's debut should be the biggest shock. But as I said when I started this channel, yes, I've never not watched Nitro. 99% of the stuff I don't know what's going to happen. However, I have watched WWE documentaries, and that clip I had seen before, so I knew Scott Hall was coming. I knew Kevin Nash was coming. So although I could appreciate, and it was a great moment, I'm not trying to underscore the impact of it, but just for me watching it as a viewer, my most shocking moment has to go Kevin Nash's jackknife powerbomb on Bischoff at the Great American Bash, off the stage, I might add. I did not see that coming. I didn't think that they would physically assault him. I thought there would just be the interview. They might shout at him a little bit like they had in Nitro, kind of half threatening him. But I didn't think they actually would put their hands on him. And again, talk about selling it and making it seem serious. Schiavone gets up off his commentary desk, goes to check on Bischoff. There's a couple of minutes where they're just checking on him, and there's stunned silence. A lot of the audience as well just were gobsmacked by it. There was some cheers, but there was some genuine shock. And I loved as well a nice little touch, because after that there was still the main event with Lex Luger and Giant for the world title. As Luger comes out to the ring down the aisle, he stops and glances over at Bischoff, and you can see there's kind of an element of shock and concern, and even the Giant takes a little glance at him as well. But I thought that was really, really well done, and it really just amped up the tension even more. I think they've really presented this brilliantly with Hall and Nash. And it really kind of crescendoed here at the Great American Bash. So that, for me, is going to be the most shocking moment of the month. That I've watched. And in terms of best match, I can't believe I'm going to say this, because going into it, I thought it was not going to be a good match at all. I was not looking forward to it. I was annoyed because I thought I wanted Flair to focus on Macho Man. However, my match of the month is going to be Flair and Anderson versus Green and Mongo. And I got to give credit to Green and Mongo first time in a big match like this. I don't know how many times they'd wrestled before, but it wouldn't have been a lot, I know that. But a massive credit to Flair and Anderson to carry them to that level, because this is the thing was, okay, it probably wasn't the best technical match of the night on the Great American Bash or over some of the Nitros this week, but there was story going into it. And even though I was in line with Green and Mongo, there was story. Flair was giving some really good promos last 2 weeks on Nitro, so there was, you cared, you know, you were invested in this story. So you had that, you had an incredible crowd that were so into it. Then you had the extra element of Mean Gene and Macho Man Randy Savage on the outside, just adding more to it. So there was so much going on. And then the in-ring action was good as well. There was some really good moves. You know me, I'm a wrestling purist. I like to see wrestling moves. I like the odd gimmick match. They can be very good, don't get me wrong. Don't like too many of them though. And I like most of the matches on a night to be regular, standard wrestling matches. But yeah, I thought it was brilliant. Atmosphere, the wrestling, the people involved, the whole thing, really, really good. And then the shock at the end, because I did predict, well, I got it half right. I said Deborah would join Flair, but I didn't anticipate that Mongo also would too. So that really took me by surprise. But it was not a really... a show with a lot of shocks. It was a really good pay-per-view, I have to say. Some very good ring action, but some genuine shocks as well. So yeah, best match is going to be the Flair, Anderson versus Mongo and Green at the Great American Bash. I think Wrestler of the Month, I'm going to have to give it to Flair. Come back to it again, because I talked about this match, which I really enjoyed. I think Flair has done some great work on the mic, some really good interviews, but also there was a great match with him and Eddie Guerrero on, I think it was it might have been the May 20th Nitro, or it was the May 27th. Excellent match. But then himself and Anderson had what I thought was a really, really good match against the American Males tag match on Nitro as well. Really, really enjoyed it. So I think he's had 3 really good matches. He's been involved a lot, you know, and his promos. I think Flair for me is Wrestler of the Month for this month that's just gone by. Just before I get into the last few segments on this month of Nitro, if you can't get enough of the Flippin To Nitro content, I do have a Patreon page. You'll find full uncut reaction to pay-per-views, including the Great American Bash, great show, full and uncut and early access reactions to Nitro. Also, uncut reaction to Flippin' Through the Vault classic WCW matches, so matches that are from pre-Nitro era. So all that and more are available on the Patreon, and you want to get more content, that's where you can find it. You can see here, there's a link as well, you can see it on the image bar there for Patreon. So if you really want to enjoy it, support the channel more, please check it out, guys. Next category is Most Improved Wrestler of the past month, and I'm going to give this one to William Regal. I think he's done some really good stuff on the mic, some great interviews. He's a great match with Sting actually at the Great American Bash, a very solid match, and there was a nice period of time there where I thought he would get the win. But I've really enjoyed just what he's been doing and his interaction with the audience as well. He plays a great heel, but he's a really good, solid wrestler as well. So I think Regal's been doing a very good job, and I'm going to give him Most Improved Wrestler this month. Then finally, we're going to look at my predictions. So my predictions going forward, I think, so Bischoff said that he's going to get 3 men, and they're going to face Hall, Nash, and their third man at the Bash at the Beach next month. And I think Sting is definitely going to be one of them, because he had that little altercation. He had the little altercation with Hall on Nitro. So I think he's going to be one of them. And also because he's kind of the face of WCW, it would make sense. I think Luger will then join him as well, because they're tag team partners. But in terms of the third person, I think Macho Man's going to take on Flair. They're going to have their match at Bash at the Beach. Maybe it'll be a tag match. Maybe it'll be Mongo and Flair against Savage and Green. I can picture that at Bash at the Beach. So I don't know who the third person could be for with Sting and Luger. I'm not sure on that one who they could pick, but I think it'll definitely be those two. I also think it's due. I think there'll be a couple of title changes. I think the Cruiserweight title, maybe the tag title. I think Sting and Luger, they've been tag champions for a while. I think that could change hands. Conan's been US champion for a while. I think there'll be definitely maybe 2 title changes within the next month. I think by the time I'm doing the next hotline, there'll be 2 title changes. The Giant, though, I think Hogan is going to be the person to take the belt off of him. I don't think he's going to lose it this month. He's going to be champion for another few months, I think. But I think Hogan will be the one to beat him. That's my prediction on that. Finally, I'll go with my favourite moment of the last month. And there's been some great matches. And I can't believe I haven't even talked about the Steiners, because I love the Steiners. You could have so many Steiner moments in there. But my favourite moment was the face-off between Sting and Sting in the Hall. Because Bischoff comes in between the middle of him, and Sting basically tells Bischoff to be quiet, or something along those lines. And then he gives Hall a slap, and you just see Hall turns back, and you're like, oh, that's the way it is. It just, you can see he's seething, and I thought that for me, it kept, because it's got the people on the outside coming in, and Sting, the face, defending WCW. I loved that moment so much. If you remember the reaction to that episode of Nitro, loved it. So that for me was my favourite moment of this past month, the Sting Hall face-off on the 3rd of June 1996 of Nitro. So guys, those are my thoughts on the last month of WCW. Let me know what you thought was maybe the match of the month, or wrestler of the month, or biggest shock of that period. And also don't forget to leave your questions below in the comments for next month if you want me to answer them. But please just again refrain from any spoilers. Don't want to know what happens after the Great American Bash. So if you just don't mention that or anything after that, that would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, until next time guys, keep flipping to Nitro.